Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts Flash. Hope that you are enjoying the rebrand of the YouTube channel as we explore what Flash's gameplay looks like right now. So far I've watched and casted, how many games? 7 games of him. And he's absolutely doing things very differently from every other Terran. So why not see now how he's going to play against another Terran, and in fact against the guy that took his place when he went to the military. Here in the bottom right we have Flash, and in the top left it is Light. So Light, basically Flash went to the military, Light took over the mantle as #1 Terran. He kind of led Terran strategically at that point. There's like countless times that Light has gone to other Terran players' houses and coached them, like ASL level players, and it's hilarious to watch some of these because he's literally laughing throughout because he's like, Light is quite a bit better than pretty much every other Terran. Now, that being said, yes, oh, wow, he doesn't win every ASL. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He has some bad performances from time to time. He did win an ASL, but basically all the players consider him to be like the strongest player, along with like maybe Snow. We saw that like they do, I do. Okay, I get it. You're so cool and smart and funny to point out that he hasn't been as consistent in ASL. Thank you for that. Anyways, he is a magnificent Terran player. So to see Flash against him, that's going to be cool because, you know, Light has been kind of crushing, you know, especially in the online matches. So yeah, we're on Neo Dark Origin, and this is, you know, a 2-player map, so it definitely plays a little bit differently. You can see that Light has made his barracks way down here to be able to scout quickly. Same with Flash, making it way up here. He actually does not scout these tiles here. That is a slight risk because you have room to build a barracks here. If you go like 6 racks here, you'll probably just kill Flash in this situation. Light, you can see he actually bent his SCV more into this direction. And in fact, he scouts it all the way by building a second depot there. Okay, so that is... Oh, and he builds his depot there. So he's basically got it down to you'd have to be incredibly lucky to have something there. But anyways, I just want to throw that out there because if you're a Terran player and you've played here, you've died to it or you've killed someone with it. Anyways, Flash gets up. He sees a Marine. You know, he wants to keep the health high so he can go back in later to scout if there is a command center, right? That's the important thing, is like, is it command center first or gas expand? No? Okay, we'll come back to check command center timing, right? Those are the main things that you're looking for in early game TVT. You don't actually need to jot in with the SCV. This is a big mistake, and I make this mistake as well. I think a lot of players do, where you're like, well, I better run up and scout. It's only 1 Marine. Maybe I can run around. And then sometimes the Marine will get some good damage on you, and you won't be able to scout the command center. The thing is, if you go up here, you could see 3 on gas. That doesn't mean they have to go for a 1-base cheese. You could get up here and see a second factory. They can literally just not make anything and make the command center, right? So what you want to do is jot in and see if the command center gets started. This is the only way to be completely sure about what your opponent is doing, is seeing the command center. So anyways, he does do that. Light does the same. They both see the command centers, and bam. They now know that it is factory expand against factory expand. So how do they both play this? More gas being mined by Flash, I think, right? 2 versus 1. So slightly more gas down here. Second factory comes up, still just producing vultures. Barracks going across, both sides with a single Marine catching it. Second factory gets started here for Light. Yeah, double vulture versus double vulture. You know, anytime the Marine comes out, you have to assume your opponent has made multiple vultures. And Light comes in and gets the first volley, but it's even. Yeah, completely even there. Ooh, Light gets 1 more hit, but you do have to back up because you don't know if they made an additional vulture, which in fact Flash did. Light actually did not. So Light is going 3 factory and then add-on, which is actually, this is pretty popular right now, to start your 3rd factory and then go for your add-on. Very, very safe as well as far as vulture wards go. So it does look like we'll probably have 3 factory vulture versus 3 factory vulture. Right now, Flash leading by an SCV. Both sides putting as much damage onto the barracks as they possibly can. You see this depot going down. This is to block the barracks from getting into a very uncomfortable position. If you land the barracks here, the vultures have to go around. You'll probably lose. And a little vulture attack comes in, but a mistake there from Light. Like, he runs in and ends up losing them. So now we have that vulture advantage for Flash, just slightly. Third factory finishes up. Speed on both sides. Flash's speed a little bit quicker. We'll have to just keep an eye on these supplies to make sure no one gets supply blocked. This is actually, as far as the rhythm of depots, this is the hardest thing to macro as far as rhythm goes. The other units are very easy, where it's like you can just count the buildings and look at the build time and have your depots on time. Just be like, okay, build a depot, and then when it's done, build a depot. Or do you take 2 SCVs and do that? Vultures are different. You don't build like 2 at the same time. They take less build time than the depot. So it's 19 seconds versus 25 seconds. So it's something like build a depot and then 6 seconds later get a second depot. That type of thing occurs. There's little tricks around it, but yeah. Anyways, it's actually very hard to macro it well. But of course, these guys are going to be able to do it. Now, Light going into 5 factory play. Flash as well into 5 factory play. Both of them desperate to have that vulture advantage. That is one of the quickest, cleanest ways to get ahead in TVT when you're going for vultures. And by the way, no mines here for Light, whereas Flash is going up to mines. Obviously, when it's just vulture versus vulture, the mines, it's an extra cost that you don't necessarily need. Light right now, well, Flash is going to try to engage. I don't think this works for Flash, does it? Right now, Light has... Okay, hold on. No, Flash does have more, but not the best targeting right there at the beginning. That being said, more vultures coming out here for Light. If you start to get a little bit of an edge, it can really snowball quickly. And you can see, because we're so close to Light's rallies, he does end up holding that cleanly. And they're actually at the same supply relative to each other as they were at the beginning of the fight. Mines will be done here for Flash, so he can actually lay a few mines, which will be good for scouting intel. He'll be able to see where everything's moving to. Looks like this barracks should get back just in the nick of time here. And Light comes over. He sees the vultures with his racks and knows that he should have slightly more vultures right now because he's closer to his base. So he comes out to engage, and in fact does have that 1 vulture advantage, as you can see. It's crazy, but as we get over here, this really reminds me of StarCraft 2 ZVZ with roaches, where it's like, yes, when you walk across the map, your opponent will have more. We're seeing that same exact thing here with the vultures. Now, Flash backing up looks pretty bad here for Flash. Yeah, I think Light at this point is starting to get like the critical mass to actually just win this game. He's going to pick off a few SCVs. Flash had made quite a few more SCVs than Light, but those are starting to die off a bit. He's having to fight with them as well, and Flash just not going to have enough to hold on. Light going to take Flash down. GG, a quick one. You know what? Let's just jump into another. All right, so getting into another game here between Light and Flash. Light has sent an SCV to the center here. This is just a forward 11 racks. He will go gas behind this. And this is basically what you're looking for here is to, number one, scout with your barracks more quickly. But also you can pressure a command center first build. And you can pressure... like a 15 CC where they go like depot barracks into command center, anything like that, because you just have a closer rally. Normally this build builds 3 Marines. We'll see exactly how many Light wants to go for, but you won't scout with anything other than this SCV and the Marines that pop out. So like what'll happen is he'll send this SCV to either bottom right or top left while making a Marine that will go in the other direction. Then the SCV will scout the top right. So that's like kind of the normal way to play this, and it's very, very good. Like if you're going to go factory expand, you need to mix this in a certain amount. The problem can be if you're building this and they send an SCV to the center, you can literally lose the game from that. But other than that, this is good against everything. right? Well, I guess if they have 2 barracks or something, but those would be in the center, right? So you'd scout that. But yeah, the forward 11 racks is one of the best openers. It's so wild that there's stuff like that, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, they sent an SCV through the center. There are a few players that do that. And then you're dead. So the Marine actually scouts up here. The reason why the Marine went up here, not to the top left, is because he saw the SCV come down. So yeah, I think he just figured out that, okay, he must be up here. Now, more Marines being made by Flash. Flash has figured out, when he sees that Marine, he knows that his opponent's making multiple Marines, so he has to make multiple as well. You have to mirror your opponent's units, right? And the bunker got started, so like, Light was looking for a quick free victory. If he was playing like a macrobot Terran that doesn't understand the game well, sometimes they'll just be like, yes, I build 2 Marines with this build. And then the bunker will be up and they'll be screwed, right? So, very good pushback. The barracks going across the map. These Marines just chasing so they aren't getting damage on this barracks. So Light's going to get good scouting. Command center. Vultures coming out. So, I guess at the end of the day, no harm, no foul, right? Like they're very, very even here. Flash, extra mining gas to get that second factory up. I think he pulled all his SCVs off gas there to be able to produce those additional Marines more comfortably. And Light actually goes 2 Vulture into add-on. Flash just still making those Vultures. So we'll see where Light wants to go with that quicker add-on. Is it just going to be speed? It does look that way. Yeah, he's getting ready to make that 3rd factory. Flash goes for the add-on. Still no 3rd factory for him. Thing is, you can play 2 factory against 3 factory. But you can't go heavy Vulture with that. Like he'd have to like pop a tank out. Here anyways, he's going to have to sit back defensively. By the way, we missed that, but I heard a Marine die. I think what happened probably was, I think Light sacrificed a Vulture to run in to kill some Marines. It's a pretty common play because it keeps your barracks alive a lot longer. If you can get all the Marines in 3-fact Volt versus 3-fact Volt, you have an advantage. Because then you can see when they're switching. You can fly around, see how many factories, see if they're going siege tanks, see if they're getting a tank of gas, things like that. Whereas if they have their Marines still sitting there, you're not going to be able to really do too much with the barracks or it's going to catch on fire. Now, Flash is actually mining a lot of gas still. Definitely interesting to see that he wants that much gas. You notice Light has 1 less SCV on that gas. I feel like this is a little bit better optimized. But the thing is, Flash always has a plan for that. It's not like he's forgetting that he should take an SCV off. Or maybe it was, because he took 2 off now and he has like 200 gas banks. Maybe it was. But, he's got enough mining that he could actually go to 5-fact if he wants, like we saw in that previous game. Now, mines coming up here for Light. More Vultures rallying out. This is a great place to sit because these are the only high ground strips on the map are these weird ramps right at the top. So generally the best place to rally your units in a situation like this. You can see both of them kind of doing it. A little bit sloppy with it, but that's okay. The barracks trying to jot in here. Can't even speak. By Light. Still just 3 factories on both sides. Doesn't seem like they're going to go for the 5 facts. Interesting. I honestly don't know. Normally, I have a very good understanding and intuition, I feel like, for why people make decisions. But with the not going 5 factory, I really don't know. Now, they both engage in the center of the map. And it looks like Light is getting the advantage here. Yeah, he does end up pushing back just a few more units. Those Marines coming up actually did make a big difference. Mines being laid here by Flash, very defensively, going to back up as well. And he is going for a siege tank with siege mode. The thing is, like, if you're planning on switching into, like, siege tank siege mode, it makes very much sense not to go for the 5 factories. The 5 factories require, like, SCV skipping and is skipping any other tech units for quite some time. But yeah, I'm not sure what triggered them both to decide, okay, we don't want to commit super heavily to those Vultures. I'm not actually a 3-factory vulture player myself. I hate these vulture wars where it's like, oh, I have one more vulture, I won, LOL. It's just, I don't know. That's not a very deep strategy game to me. Anyways, more tanks rallying out here for Flash. He does have the double add-on. He's getting his comsats up. He's getting his armory up. Third base on location. Light, in the meantime, we don't see that third base. We probably should pretty soon. He's laying a ton of mines around the map. He's doing a very good job with those. Flash just going to scan and move through the center very quickly. Setting up some siege tanks. Now, this siege tank setup, you might look at this and say, wow, that looks really weird. Right? Like, normally you have a line of siege tanks so they can punish the opponent's mech walking in. This chokes off vulture movement in the center. So this is a completely different move. You don't normally see this, but the center is very small. So basically, these two siege tanks being here and his vultures being nearby, if vultures try to go through the center, they'll be hit by these. So this is kind of a zoning move by Flash, and with his vultures as backup, his tanks are completely safe. Now, against like mass tanks, something like this would be bad. Against mass vultures, this is very, very good. Now, Light coming into the center, he has a hell of a lot of vultures. He does have comsat scanners, so goes ahead and scans, but he's going up into the pre-sieged location of Flash. So Flash actually has more map control right now, and his third base is up and mining. Wow. Flash is just ahead. Like, look. He's got 4 factories already up, 5th on the way. What does Light have? Light has less of the map, a later expansion, and less factories. Flash is literally just ahead in every single way right now. They both opened with almost the exact same build order. In fact, Light started to take advantage by doing slightly better on the vultures. And now Flash is like, I have the middle of the map, a minefield in front of it, a faster third, more factories, starport on the way. Light is just behind. Crazy. A couple more factories coming up here for Light. You know, Flash is mysterious in some ways. His optimizations are so next level for the Terran race that most people don't even understand what the hell's going on. Like, I mean, you remember the season he played random? He played against Free. He got Terran. Free had gone like Nexus first or something, and Flash both attacked it and expanded at the same time. Like, it didn't even make sense. And I'm just sitting there like, how does he, like, what is this? And he like killed him while expanding. It's like his optimizations are so crazy. He knows all these spots he can do things in by managing everything so perfectly. And like, really, this is fantastic. Like, Light is pretty contained. And how does this containment going to pay off? Well, he's choked out the center, so Light has to stay on his side, right? So this area is no man's land for Light, right? So Light has to move through here. He has to move through here. And Flash has more ability to deny these side 2 bases than Light has to take them or to deny them, right? Like, all he has to do is push Light back just slightly and he can win the game. Whereas Light would have to break this and then keep going. Okay, so let's take a look. Flash right now, ton of factories. 7 factories are up. That's pretty standard for what you want on 3 base. Light, in the meantime, also 7 factories. He is making a Wraith here. That might just be for anti-dropship, or he might actually want to go Wraith. We have +2 on the way for Flash. +2 is on the way for Light as well, actually. They're pretty well timed up on that. And he's actually going to go for a second starport. So it looks like we're going to have a Wraith transition here for Light. Now, when you actually are missing some map control, I don't like the Wraiths. I like the Wraiths when you have map control. We'll talk about that, though, in a minute here, because Light is trying to break through. I actually do have to zoom out a lot in TVT. And he actually sees the dropship. The dropship gets pulled into the battle a little bit. But Flash has plenty of reinforcements, and you can see Light right now. Just his siege tank count up here is not anywhere near what it needs to be to deal with the siege tanks of Flash. Flash's siege tank production has been completely off the hook. He's sending a dropship around, but this is not going to do anything. There's a Wraith waiting for him. There's a Siege Tank in here already, so very unlikely to see much damage from that. Now, anyways, I was talking a little bit about the Wraiths, and to go Wraiths here, like, ooh, flies right over with that dropship. This dropship tries to get in here. Okay, he's going to lay some mines and try to take that out. Another Wraith coming down to clear this. Kind of a funny spot that he flew over there with the dropship, but I guess it kind of works out. Has a massive map control. Anyways, about the Wraiths, right? That's kind of like the strategic thing I want to visit here. The fact that he's going Wraiths when he's a bit contained, occasionally your opponent will not have the Goliaths they need to deal with that, and you can fly around and pick off tanks on the edge. And in those cases, it can be very good. But if they realize you're going Wraith, don't forget every Wraith costs the same amount as a Siege Tank, right? So if you're making all these Wraiths, you make 5-6 Wraiths and they make 4 Goliaths with range, your Wraiths aren't going to do very much. Now, Flash starts to push up a little bit. This is a bit wasteful, it feels like, with this pre-siege position. And yeah, Flash loses a lot of Siege Tanks there. So suddenly, Light actually takes a bit of a macro advantage there. Well, I guess we have another Vulture drop that comes in. Flash non-stop on these Vulture drops. Dude, the Vulture drops are weirding me out a little bit, right? Like, he sacked a dropship in here, he sacked a dropship here, and now another one flies in and actually gets damage against a player using Wraiths. It actually reminds me of Maru in StarCraft 2, where he would just keep doing his mine drops. It's like the first 4 don't work, but number 5 gets a lot of probes and he's ahead. It's like, okay, that's kind of an interesting take on it, but I haven't really seen that before from Flash or from anyone. That just constant sacrifice of dropships going in. Not in StarCraft, not StarCraft 1 at least. Now, the Wraiths are doing a great job. Getting this vessel is a gigantic kill for them. And look, he is missing those Goliaths. We only have the single Goliath here. Goliath range is on the way, but this is exactly, if like, already these Wraiths have paid for themselves, right? But there are situations which this absolutely doesn't happen and they're not finding any damage. Now, that being said, Flash is setting up 2 more bases in the top left. Light does have his own 4th, but it's a mineral only, so not nearly as powerful. He's going to have to bust. Like, this position Light is playing, his 4th base, yeah, it's pretty quick, but it's just minerals. He's going to have to mass up Vultures and start busting, and he is ahead on army supply by a considerable amount. So he's going to come over to the side. There is +2 attack on both sides, so it's going to be a little bit harder to bust anything, but the Vulture count of Light is insane here. Pushes back that Goliath. Still not many Goliaths in here. Flash coming up with more Siege Tanks. Light sieging, though, with this many Vultures, just tanking shots, doing absolutely fantastically. I tell you, Light's Wraiths are being some slight MVPs this game. He's going to force more Goliaths. You can see more Goliaths coming out. Light setting up these 2 bottom right bases. Dude, another drop. Another Vulture drop. This is so crazy. And he kills the dropship right away. Like, Flash is just non-stop dropping. This is so strange. I think I might have to rewatch this replay later. Like, it's such a weirdly played game. It's just not what we see in TVT generally. Now, it looks like Light tried to walk around and be a little bit of a sneaky snake here to get into a good position. Flash, in the meantime, by the way, does have double armory going. He does have a good enough defensive layout that these tanks aren't going to be able to do it. But Light getting some power on this side of the map is strong because he's expanding over to here and here, right? So he's blocking everything in the mid, blocking everything here. Suddenly, he controls this space and he controls this space. And he's up in supply. You know, Flash still getting great upgrades, still has a lot of wiggle room, a lot of play. But it does feel like Light is starting to take over this game. He's way up in supply now. Up to 8 factories, 4 with add-ons. Getting his own Goliath range just to be ready. Mass dropships coming out. He does have that double starport. So definitely can mass up dropships heavily. Really, really interesting TVT. These drop ships are very scary as well. Like, there's not any real defense at home, and he does have wraiths to go with this. Look at this, unsieging. I think he's gonna... Oh, dude, he's gonna siege up here and then fly back, pick up more tanks, and land them. Flash is in some serious trouble here. Laying the mines is kind of cool as well. Good usage of these mines, considering he has so many extra minerals from that mineral-only base. But Flash actually clears it pretty quickly. I really liked the idea. That was an idea that if Flash doesn't react quickly and decisively, you might actually end up getting a winning advantage there. Doesn't work out this time for Light, but again, I really did like that idea. Now Flash kind of attacking into here. Light already has reinforcing army coming up. A little bit sloppy here for Flash, losing a ton of siege tanks. And now suddenly Light coming in from a funny angle has basically cut off this area from Flash. So now Flash has to move units through this area or break this, which doesn't look very realistic against +3 attack siege tanks. So I think at this point for Flash, it looks like he is massing up some wraiths. He only has 2 starports, so it's going to take him a while to get to a good number. And, you know, there is like a Goliath here, a couple wraiths still flying around. Mass drop ships. You hear scans all over the place right now. Very normal stuff. Looks like mostly... Well, I'm not sure who was scanning there, but they're both just spamming out scanners. Both these guys are scan beasts, by the way. Flash has talked about having, you know, 7-8 scanners in this matchup. Light, like, he makes more scanners than anyone I've ever seen. Every matchup. Now, Flash breaks through this mid area. In the meantime, the dropships, it looks like he was thinking about maybe helping out there. Now just going to fly beyond. Yeah, the Goliath's going to start to punish here a little bit. Has to pull his SCVs down as well, I think. Has these vultures in the front. Flash coming up with his siege tanks. Trying to clear this before it gets too cost efficient in siege mode. His SCVs getting on top of those tanks. So it does look like that's going to be cleared. Light going to get out with the majority of his dropships. 7 dropships going to be able to fly out. And in fact, 4 siege tanks left over here, as well as a couple Goliaths to maybe kill off this command center. So heavy wraiths coming out now. Definitely enough wraiths to kill off some of these Goliaths. Don't forget, Light didn't get any armor upgrades, so the wraith's going to do much better against his Goliaths than normally they would. Now, Flash pushing the center. In the meantime, little counter push here from Light. He has stopped this base. Now he's stopped this base. Probably will move his siege tanks up and kill this base as well. Flash trying to attack into the bottom right. There are a lot of mines here that might actually be a little bit problematic. Yeah. Dude, that high ground, missing those shots as they pop up. Same thing happening over here to Light as well. The wraiths coming in and clearing some of these. Siege tank's going to get into position. I think that this move from Light, a little bit of a mistake. I guess he will be able to siege this, but he actually had room to siege this base and stop this from mining. So it looks like he's going to go after this one instead, but with only 2 Goliaths, the wraiths may be able to clear that out as well. Some siege tanks being dropped off, making sure he doesn't lose that bottom right main. Ooh, catches all the dropships here. Flash doing a great job with those wraiths. Having wraiths in 2 different groups around the map is very strange as well. You almost only see them grouped together. Very rare to have a split like that. Okay, who's winning? This is actually, like, incredibly close right now. Right? Flash way down on SCVs, though. This is his big mining base. This one just barely. This is almost out. Light has this, and he's getting this one up, and he has this. Yeah, Light is well ahead at this point now. Flash has made some good moves for sure. He still has great upgrades. Ooh, Mass Valkyrie coming in to just super clear these wraiths. And Flash going to end up not being able to break through with this army. Nice little switch into Valks there. And with Light clearing this, I think Flash basically doesn't have anything left. Like, these attacks aren't working. He can't break this base. He might be able to break this one, but yeah, he scans and finds it. I think he just realizes he's a little bit too far behind. So Light ended up outplaying Flash here. But as far as openings go, Flash got himself way ahead. Those optimizations were crazy. I'm definitely going to look at this replay again later and try to learn a bit. I'll let you guys know in a future Flash TVT if I can remember to do that. I hope you guys enjoyed this little foray into Flash's TVT. And thanks for watching.